Evan McMullin has reemerged. He's running for Senate in the state of Utah against incumbent Mike Lee. And amazingly, he could win. He could actually win. Now, if McMullin does win, his vote could very well give Democrats control of the U.S. Senate. How did this happen? How is this possible, you wonder? It doesn't make sense. Utah is a conservative, highly Republican state. Evan McMullin has the same politics and worldview as Pete Buttigieg. He is a liberal Democrat. But he's not running as a liberal Democrat, and that's the key to his success this year. Evan McMullin is running instead as an independent, and many voters appear to be under the impression that he actually is independent. But he's not. That's a lie, a transparent lie. Evan McMullin is roughly as independent as Kamala Harris is. He's considerably less independent than, say, Ilhan Omar. Evan McMullin is anything but independent. He is entirely controlled and has always been. McMullin even uses the Democratic Party's fundraising platform, Act Blue. His campaign has paid nearly $2 million to Democratic Party consulting services in the last year alone. That would include Precision Strategies, co-founded by a Biden advisor. Other firms include Foundation Strategies, Blueprint Public Affairs, and KMM Strategy. These are all partisan Democratic Party firms. In politics, you pick a side in the consultants you hire. And Evan McMullin has picked his side, the Democratic side. Not surprisingly, the creepy liberals at the Lincoln Project, who lie for a living, are busy pretending that Evan McMullin is not one of them. Oh, no. Republicans, they write, Evan McMullin truly represents your values. Really? Which values are those? Does Evan McMullin oppose amnesty for illegal migrants? Does he oppose race-crazed teachers' unions? Does he oppose even Tony Fauci? No, of course not. Evan McMullin is fully on board with every anti-family scheme the Democratic Party has dreamed up over the last decade. As a supposedly faithful Mormon, he can't even acknowledge that Roe v. Wade was a bad decision. He is a neoliberal robot. There's nothing independent about him. Watch him read the Democratic Party's talking points, for example, on abortion.
I am committed to the sanctity of life, but I think that means the lives of women. That means the lives of unborn, of course, and it means the lives of children. And I think we've got to take a more comprehensive approach to that.
But just to be clear, you don't support overturning Roe v. Wade anymore as you did in 2016. I'm just trying to get clarity.
I do not think that is the way for the country to move forward on this issue.
Oh, so keeping Roe v. Wade is the way for the country to move forward. But of course, Roe v. Wade, whatever you think of it, froze everything in amber in 1973 and imposed the most radically pro-abortion regime from the courts on all 50 states. So, of course, you can't move forward under Roe v. Wade in either direction. This doesn't make sense. It's effectively pro-abortion. You don't typically hear Mormons talk like that. And in fact, Evan McMullin, as you just heard suggested, did not used to talk like this. In fact, back in 2016, he denounced Donald Trump, the guy who would eventually get Roe v. Wade overturned, because he said Trump wasn't pro-life enough. I'm the only pro-life candidate in the race, McMullin wrote in 2016. 4 years later, after Trump successfully appointed several pro-life justices to the Supreme Court who overturned Roe v. Wade, McMullin has clarified what he means when he says pro-life. Turns out being pro-life has nothing to do with protecting children. Here's what McMullin said, quote, "You aren't actually pro-life if you can't say Black Lives Matter." Oh, right. Black Lives Matter, which is an explicitly pro-choice organization. Are you following all this? It doesn't make any sense. He's a liberal Democrat, and it'd be fine if he ran as one. Utah voters should know what they're voting for, and he should be honest about who he is. If you pay any attention at all to McMullin's last 3 years in, quote, public life, it's very obvious. In 2020, he endorsed Joe Biden because he cares about Republican values. Watch.
For many, choosing between these two Americas will require us to do something we've never done before, crossing party lines to support a unifying presidential candidate of another party. I believe Joe to be an honorable patriot who's loyal to the Republic. And that's why I plan to put country over party and in November, cast my vote for Joe.
He's putting country over party by voting for Joe Biden, who not one time in his entire life has put country over party.